Hi, welcome to the Inner D, a new spinoff of the first show, Dimensions with D. I'm your host, Danny, and today I'm going to, I guess, go. Well, since this is the premiere first episode or pilot episode of the Inner D, um, I guess I kind of want to go into, a topic that I haven't really talked about before, and and I actually got this kind of idea from two guys that I know, Jabari and Reagan. So this episode is I kind of got the idea from them. Okay, so this all started back in freshman year, I would say. So freshman year was supposed to be exciting for me. New freedom, new people, new identity. But what nobody tells you is that when you leave home, you don't leave your mind behind. In my mind, in particular, was loud. I was questioning who I was, questioning my worth, feeling like I didn't belong. Uh, As I would say I smiled in public, but I spiraled in private. I felt invisible, and the scariest part is that I didn't feel like I could talk to anyone because this was before I started going into counseling. And this was not because people didn't exist, but because I didn't want to be a burden to people. So I carried everything until I couldn't anymore. And one night I made a decision I can undo, but I can fortunately talk about today. I truly believe everyone will be better off without me. So I guess give a little context or to preface what I'm about to discuss. Um, I was in this group here on campus where um, I guess when I was joining before uh, the school year actually started, I was under the impression that the way it was told to me, like under the impression that I was under the impression based on what I was told, I should say, that that it was going to be this great community, and everyone in my core was going to be great friends, and our friendship was going to keep lasting for years to come. And so I quickly until but I would say due to my past of being in homeschool for the past 10 years prior, um, I guess I didn't really think that people changed that much, if at all. And so I guess I would like compare it to being in a coma, but not knowing like the world, and then waking up and thinking everything's the same. Kind of like how Captain America was at the end of the first his movie, the Captain America: The First Avenger. How he woke up and then he went to Times Square like clueless. That's kind of how I kind of felt. And so I say all that to say because I would say I guess this is just in general too that like the things that I think, do, and say are completely normal to me, but are I would say for the most part bizarre to literally everyone else, especially younger people around my age. Yeah, and so I guess two things happening in my cohort that will tie back into the main topic of this story. Um, One was the rumor, um, the rumors. Um, One was about me, and then one was about me, and what was said was um, that I was too studious, and I was made fun of based on how I used to leave class. I guess to speak on the second one, um, I didn't really think that much of it. I guess sometimes I did kind of have to rush out because I had to race to not race but like had to get to another building for a class which was college algebra, which is math, which I was terrible at. But I guess not really people. Well, no one really knew that, but I don't know that. Well, I guess I'll say that, but after the first one. And so the first one was the studious part. In hindsight, thinking back now, it's really stupid because that's kind of, I guess the word studious can, I would say it's kind of a good thing, but the context of it being like said in like in a bad way, and then the fact that like how and the fact that I was like, because I know the person who said it, right, and so it was like we were all together in a lounge on campus, and then I was sitting across from them. They didn't say anything, but then when I left, they decided to say anything. So I remember, like I didn't know none of this happened until one day. Well, not one day, but like the day that this happened. Later that day, one of the upperclassmen who was also in the lounge saw and heard what the other person had said when I once I left, and so they messaged me and then they told me what happened, and I was like, and I was shocked because I was like, well, yeah, because this goes back to the how I was under the impression that we were all friends, and so my thought instantly went into why didn't they just say it to my face when I was right there? Why did they have to wait till um, I left to say all that? And so both those things kind of hurt it. No, I won't say kind of hurt it. It hurt it, and so that's the first part. And the second part is I had now I won't say developed feelings. I developed a crush. I think that's more like it on one of the girls in my cohort, and so I remember I remember I think I'm really positive that she had a boyfriend at the time, but I didn't know that. Like I had a feeling she did, but I wasn't sure, and that's that. And like, and so I remember um, I was asking people I asked like a couple people, probably around five people in our cohort about the situation, like how I felt and how I should approach, I guess, right? And I remember I remember you always say, can we keep this between us because I didn't want her to find out. I don't think. Well, I think she did, obviously, based on what happened, but which I am about to say. But I think my goal was to not let her find out in case I didn't approach her, which I never really did because the events. But anyway, I developed a crush on her, and then asked a few people, and then October came around. I think it was the Bonners Pause for Service. I think that's the club name. They were giving out like blue grams. I think that's what it's called. And so I got like a couple for like a bunch of people I knew, and one of them was her. And like I think they did this thing where it was like you could send them to them like anonymous. You just had to put their info. And so I did that, and then um and she and I think I feel like it was later in the week, but like and I remember her friend uh messaged me on Snapchat saying asking did I like send, oh, because I think I also sent it back to the friend too, and so they were like asking me. The friend was also the friend was also in the cohort as well. So anyway, the friend messaged me on Snapchat asking, was it me who sent who sent it now? I guess I think nothing of it because I should have said no, but I didn't think it was gonna be as bad as it turned out. But I told the truth and said it was, and then and I remember she was like, I think she said something like, "Oh, I appreciate it, but it's kind of weird." And so I think, and I remember the girl I liked didn't block me, but the friend did for some. Now, to this day I still don't know why that happened, and so that situation plus the rumors, the rumor situation, had me spiraling. I would say, and I say that because because like my outside life, like life outside of school, it's been terrible. I will go as far as to even say it's been like I would say I've been doomed since birth. So like my life, I would say, to me, I would say literally every every other every other person on campus has had a better life than me, and so I kind of took college as kind of like a fresh start to be on my own, fresh start, and like it's me being on my own. I would say, and so with this happening, it kind of like was like since well, I think also with that with those things happening, I think I got it in my head that these people like hate me now, and so and like they were going to like spread all this stuff, which low key is kind of what happened over time, but I don't know. I feel like cause I remember something else happening too as a result was I ended up having my first panic attack, and so the way I described that was I felt like the world was spinning and I was like drowning, like mentally, kind of like I felt it, but I wasn't actually in it, and so I don't know. I guess I just kind of wanted to all to stop, and so I felt like I just couldn't. Well, yes, because this is before and I didn't really have friends, still don't, but I so I say that because I didn't have no one to talk to. I kind of had my mentor, but I don't know. I feel like he didn't like, exactly understand because I think when I was talking to him about it, it was I was being general. I didn't mention any names because I don't know if it was like in my mind I always felt it was going to be bigger than it was, and I remember I was like tearing up because like tearing up. Well, yeah, I think it was like crying. It wasn't no big like sobbing baby cry, but I remember some tears coming out my face during that time when I was talking to well yeah, as I was talking and as I was leaving the building, and so yeah, I think that was all just that all was just a lot for me because I would say I think something that didn't help too was I struggled with anxiety. Well, I would say more. I struggle with anxiety, social in general, but more so depression as I was leaving high school, and so I didn't realize how bad it was until I got to college, and then and this situation didn't help. I would say, but I would say this is what depression does. It doesn't scream. It whispers stuff to you like you're unnecessary. You're behind, and you don't matter. I would say those things kind of um, went in my head as one night. I think this was like during the week, so maybe this was like I want to say this was the end of maybe this was a Wednesday night actually, but I ended up going to a spot on campus that a spot that I found like I would say freshman year I was always going to this spot, and then but so I went to the spot. It was nighttime, and um, I attempted to end my life. Yeah, I attempted suicide, and I won't say like the type or like method that I did, but yeah, I was in that spot for a good I would say a good 30 minutes, and I would say some, and I'll say this real quick. I would say like TV shows. I guess I feel like they really dramatize it because like it's not as like easy or like as quick as they make it seem when you're actually in the mind and like doing it. I guess But I would say in the moment as I was going through with it, because I well, I wouldn't say I like to, but like I've come to think that I was like 75% done. Like as like if I were to say I'm when I if I did it I was 100%. I would say I was 74% in that process. But I would say like in that moment though, I say I'd say had God stepped in and I guess put a stop to it. I always like in my mind whenever I think back on it, I think that God had like placed a shoulder, no, placed a hand on my shoulder and like kind of, and that kind of made me stop. But I would say it wasn't like a big like dramatic thing. It wasn't, but I knew that like something had stopped me, and and it was at that moment I knew that I wasn't truly alone in the world. All in all, though, I will say that night wasn't the night I became religious. I would say, yeah, I say that. But I would say it was the night that I became desperate, and not say that desperation creates a type of honesty that I try to carry with me to this day. As that was the first time that I really saw God and really talked with Him. It was kind of just like, and I don't know. I feel like I can't really explain it fully, but I didn't really feel alone anymore. And so I would say ever since then, I would say God has been the one and only person that I've been able to go to for just about any and everything. I, I would say because I guess when it comes to like just my life in general and just praying and reading scriptures, one of my favorite scriptures, well, not one of my favorite scripture is Joshua chapter 9. Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. And it says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Wherever you go, that line, I would say even there, and where at the end spot that I was, especially there, I would say was really eye opening for me. And so I would say after that night, I didn't suddenly become strong. I became curious because if God stopped me, then there had to be something more. So I started reading, not to be a preacher, not to post stuff, not to impress anyone, but because I needed something to hold on to. One of the first verses that shifted my perspective was Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. "For now I know the plans I have for you." Freshman year taught freshman year me thought I had already ruined whatever plan there was. I felt behind, off track, and like everyone else had momentum while I was just the one surviving. But that verse reframed everything for me. It didn't say I knew the plans. It didn't say the plans would feel good. And it didn't say the plans would be fast. It said He knows. And for the first time, I realized maybe my story wasn't off schedule. Maybe it was just unfolding differently than other people. One of the Another scripture was Philippians chapter 4, verse 6 through 7. "Do not be anxious about anything." And I used to hate that verse with a passion because I thought it meant if I was anxious, I was failing spiritually. But over time, I read it slower and again and again. And I would say it means that like to present your requests, your present your requests, pray and be thankful, and then peace will guard your heart and your mind. It didn't say anxiety wouldn't exist. It said peace could coexist with it, and that changed how I prayed. Instead of asking God to remove every hard feeling, I started asking Him to steady me in it. And that's when I came across another scripture, Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 to 29, where it says, Come to me, all who are weary, not broken, not perfect, not cleaned up, weary." And I was really exhausted at that point. Mentally exhausted from pretending I was okay all the time. Emotionally exhausted from carrying out thoughts I never voiced to people. Spiritually exhausted from trying to be strong by myself. That verse felt like permission to stop performing for people. Next, I found Psalm chapter 46, verse 10, "Be still." I used to think being still meant doing nothing, but I realized being still means trusting when you don't have answers. It means not self-destructing just because you can't see the outcome. It means not making permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. Stillness became a discipline for me. Next, I found James chapter 1, verse 5. "If any of you lacks wisdom, ask." I have been trying to figure out that part alone. Things like my identity, my future, my relationships, my purpose. And that verse made me realize I don't have to manufacture clarity. I can ask for it. And that led me to John 15. "If you remain in me." That word "remain" stuck with me because remaining requires consistency. You don't remain by accident, you remain intentionally. So I started building habits, small ones here and there, like reading a little every day, praying more, talking to God like He was actually there. Because I'll say for me, I don't know how other people do it, but for me, majority of times I pray like out loud, like audibly. I don't know, because I feel like that's gives me more of a connection to God. So that's kind of why I do that. And then following that, John chapter 15, verse 12 challenged me to as it says, love each other as I have loved you. Because when you're depressed, you tend to isolate yourself. I know that's something that I tend to do. And isolation almost took me out. But love pulls you forward. Hebrews chapter 10, verses 24 to 25 confirm that. Do not give up meeting together. Community isn't optional, it's protective. And Proverbs chapter 27, verse 17 says, "Iron sharpens iron." God ended up becoming my foundation. But people become refinement. Friends, conversations, even small interactions. I realized something powerful. Even though God had saved me that night, He didn't design me to survive alone after that. And then I started reading 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 14, where it says, "For Christ's love compels us." The word "compels" means to push, drives, and move. I would say I'm still here because love compelled me to stay, not fear or guilt, but love. And then finally, 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2, where it says, "What you've learned, pass it on." Which is why I decided to talk about this. I guess just because it's been a lot on my mind, and I've been talking with some people, and I've been hearing their story and how they've grown more in their faith. Because I would say the scriptures didn't just comfort me; they rebuilt me line by line, thought by thought, perspective by perspective. And every single one of them, every single one, circles back to Joshua chapter 1, verse 9, where it says, "Be strong, be courageous, do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, because you are not alone." And the truth is, I still have hard days. Yeah, because I would say I still suffer from anxiety, general and social depression. Suicide thoughts, most of the time during the week. Faith didn't delete the struggles that I have, but it gave me context, I would say. And I want to go ahead and say this. And if you're someone who's struggling, talk to someone. Uh, if you're religious, I would say talk to God. And if you're not religious, even if you are religious, but if you're not, find you someone, find you that one person that you can trust and talk to, like a counselor or just someone that you don't mind being open and honest and vulnerable with. As I believe God works through people, you are not weak for needing help. I would say you're wise for seeking it. Joshua chapter 1 verse 9 isn't motivational. It's a command. Be strong and courageous. Not because life is easy, but because you are not alone. Freshman year me thought courage meant not crying. Now I know courage means staying. Choosing to stay. Choosing to believe. And choosing one more day. If my relationship with God is the reason I'm still here, then staying was obedience. And as I close out the first episode of the new show, I just want to say, if you're listening, and you're in a dark place, the version of you 5 years from now is begging you to stay. There are rooms you haven't walked into yet, conversations you haven't had, impacts you haven't made yet. Joshua chapter 1 verse 9 isn't just my favorite verse, it's my survival verse. Be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go, wherever, even here. And with that concludes this week's episode of The Inner D. I will see you on the next episode.